Hello everyone and welcome to the round 2 reaction of NRL SuperCoach 2022. Interesting week again. Lots of stuff that we can discuss as we react knee-jerk. Round 3 is going to be an important round just before the price changes happen, but forget about round 3. Let's talk round 2. Thanks to everyone who's in the chat already. Thanks to Jacob, Mitchell, Jake, Paycheck, Adam B, Owen, Swaraj, Zach. Thanks everyone for joining. Love this username as well, 404 error page. I vibe with that as well. Thank you all for joining. I know Whisper and Brew are doing theirs as well at the moment. I would have pushed it back a little bit later if I could, but planning to have an early night, so I thought let's just start at 8:30 and hopefully he understands. I wanted you all to post your scores because I wanted to kind of get a bit of an understanding of the kind of par score for this week. So I'm on 902, which, look, it's a little bit better than last week. Still not getting to 1,000 yet, which is probably indicative of the kind of the trend of the season so far. It looks like base is back. Not so much the attacking stats. It's all about those forwards and the underlying base and power stats. I can see Paycheck got 975, 945 from Mitchell, 913 from Jason. Stags was disappointing. Yeah, we'll definitely discuss Stags. Actually, you know what? Keep lips sealed on Stags. Let's not talk about Stags at the moment. 940 from Jake, 937 from Swaraj, 819 for Owen. A bit of a down week there. 943 from Zach. So yeah, I'm seeing a few low 900s. That kind of sounds like the par by the look of it. I think captaincy probably helped a little bit. If you captain someone like Payne Haas, probably got you a little bit over the top, or say like a Fafita captain. And I think a big differentiator as well was if you had the likes of Nico Hines or Harry Grant. They went big this week. They probably pushed you up, I think, toward that higher end of 900. If you're me and you had a few players flop, a few do okay, then you probably got around this kind of 900 mark at the moment. But let's just go through game by game. Same as last time, we'll go through all the major talking points, kind of what I'm thinking in terms of maybe initial thoughts on trades as well. But so as you can see, I'm on 902 if I look at my head-to-head. 902 points. So I should actually win my Podmasters Cup League against Wilfred, former SC champion, so I'll take that to the bank, that is for sure. But we'll go through the matches first. Shieldsy, morning from Northern Ireland. Wow, there's someone from Northern Ireland watching. That is pretty cool. Welcome, thanks for tuning in. I wonder, it must be about 8:30 a.m, 9:30 a.m for you, so thank you for tuning in on the Sunday morning for yourself. Cobbo overrated. Oh god, yeah, the Cobbo move was that did not work out, did it? We'll get to the Broncos in a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's just start with the Broncos. It's fresh in our mind, isn't it? They just snuck over 16-10 over the Bulldogs. So Payne Haas did well. Again, 68 points, just continues to get it done. I have a feeling he played good minutes today as well. Just going to have a quick look at NRL.com stats. Wrong stats. Or player stats. That's what I need to look. So Payne Haas, 61 minutes, which is probably more in line with what he's going to be playing according to Kevy, which was around 60 to 65 minutes. But to punch out 68, I'm guessing all in base. I'm thinking there's not really much there apart from base and offloads. Yeah, just shows the incredible PPM he's got. So, pushing 70 is great from your front row forward. But overall pretty good win from the Broncos. Herbie Farnworth, so the wrong centre was doing all the damage, got a double. He did look good, in all honesty. It's honestly, you know what? I feel like the theme of round 2, right side attackers just did not do well. If anyone feels the same, let me know, because I feel like every player who I own who plays on the right side of the field flopped. Stags, Cobbo, Crichton, Fafita, that's just off the top of my mind. I'm sure if I could think about a few more, I could probably think of some extra players there. It seems like, this week it seemed like all the left side attackers did well. Look at the Roosters. When we talk about the Roosters, there's the left side back rows did good. Left side of the Broncos did well this week with Farnworth and Oates. My other centre winger pair did not do as good. The Knights, I think they had pretty even split. But early thoughts. It seems like the right side attackers did better overall, but maybe that's just me thinking out randomly. But Max King, good effort again from him. Yeah, he looks good. 188k again. I think a lot of people probably do have him at this point, but if you haven't, looks like a standout cheapie I think for this week to target. Definitely will go up a lot in value, and we'll definitely in this week's video cover a lot more on say break evens. And we'll talk a bit more about those players who we think are going to go up more in value, because I think that's really important for this round 3. So definitely, I didn't talk about it in round 2, but definitely going to be talking about break evens and things like that to try to target those players who look like they're going to go up in cash. But yeah, I mean, I know I've got the Broncos Bulldogs game, but just my overall thoughts about the week. Yeah, seemed like right side attackers did not do well. I can see someone in the chat also mentioned Britton Nakora. Again, he I don't think did too well from memory. And yeah, the 2RF, the second row forwards, I think is a big discussion point this week. I think 2RFs and halves seem like the big ones because we've seen two halves do pretty well again. Oh, not two, but Nico Hines is the main one. And yeah, the second row forward, we've got, do we question Fafita? Do we sell Fafita? Do we sell the Crichton? Do we just go cheap, go for like a Beau Fermor? He punched out like 76 this week. So yeah, I think the second row forward definitely will require a lot of discussion this week. I'd be keen to see anyone who does own Fafita. What are your initial thoughts? Do you think you're going to buy? Sorry, not buy. Do you think you're going to hold, or do you think you're going to sell? I have a feeling a lot of people are going to sell Fafita this week just because he unlocks so much money, and you can use that to jump on a lot of these kind of cheapies. Also, your likes of Grant and Nico Hines. I think already Grant and Nico Hines are firming as two good trade targets of mine if I can get to. Hines is looking so good. Punched over 100 he updated to as well. But yeah, Fafita, we'll get to it when we talk about the Titans game. I'll go through I might just jump all over the place. I won't just go like order by order. I think I'll just go around as I just kind of vent, put it that way. But yeah, I mean, good performance from the Bulldogs. They're definitely looking better. Good to note that at least their games have been relatively low scoring. They haven't conceded that many points. They're defensively a little bit better. But Ockenbaugh really that's the side to target. I think if you're coming up against the Bulldogs, any edge player who's coming up on that side of the Bulldogs, opposing Bulldogs, should probably be the side to target. He just does not look cut out defensively, So I think, that's something to keep in mind, if you're looking for specific matchups to target week on week. But yeah, Payne Haas, really good knock from him. Ricky there with a try. Tessinu was pretty busy, but no other big scores, like over 60 from the Broncos there. Yeah, Tony Staggs and Cobbo, may as well talk about them now. I mean, really, really disappointing. I mean, Reynolds had that beautiful, NFL, throw between his legs, and I'm cheering. I'm like, yes, a try for Staggs, a line break. Give me those points. And he drops the ball. He drops the bloody ball. How frustrating is that? So yeah, I think a few people in the chat earlier were saying that is, Staggs got to go. I don't think I'll be selling Staggs because the next two games after this are good, and the signs were there. They had that break down the right-hand side where Staggs got pushed into the touchline. But look, that shows the danger they have on that side with Cobbo and Staggs. So I really wanted to target that. Didn't work out this week. Cobbo was not a good trade in, only the 21 points there. But, I wanted to take the punt. So, yeah, that's that, I think, for the Broncos. I don't think I'll be looking to sell Staggs or Cobbo. I think I'll be sticking with them if I can. Payne Haas is just a lock, a great buy this week as well. Although with the 68 now, I don't think he'll go massively up in value. So it's probably one that you can maybe now afford to wait just a little bit if you haven't got him already. And you might want to use your trades to target those kind of bigger cheapies. But yeah, and then on the Bulldog side of things, I think Max Kim we've already talked about. He looks like a very good play. If you need cover in your front row forward, he looks like he's gonna knock out like 40 to 45 week on week. Yeah, but otherwise good signs. Pangai got a little bit into it as well, so 55 from him, and Burton 59. Again, shaping up as potentially a decent option, but the draw is a bit tough for the Bulldogs, which is kind of why I'm a little bit off on them just for the moment. So you can see they've got Manly, Melbourne, then Penrith, then the Rabbitohs. Like, that's 4 straight games that are pretty tough. So I personally won't be looking at bringing in many Bulldogs players until around round 7, I think. But even then, round 8, they play the Chooks. But, maybe a forward could be an option. But yeah, I think overall, there's some good signs for sure. But Supercoach investment-wise, I'm not sure if I'm going to be going there anytime soon. But yeah, that's kind of the main talking points out of that Broncos-Bulldogs game. I guess Fafita, let's talk about Fafita and that Titans match, because I've got some thoughts on that as well. So yeah, I did captain Fafita, did not work out. 54 points. As I said, the right side attackers just did not seem to do well this week. I can see Owen in the chat saying Fafita is gone for me. Someone else saying I think they were going to sell Fafita for Grant. Look, I think if you can do that via duels, I'd be pretty comfortable. I'd be pretty comfortable with that move. I think for me, the selling of Fafita is more about the cash that he unlocks. I still think on his day he can very obviously hit out those big scores. But it's back-to-back weeks now of 60, 54. I'll have to have a look at that price change calculator to see what it'll do to his value. I might actually have a quick look at that now, in all honesty. So, NRL SuperCoach Stats, shout out to them as always. Fantastic resource. So I'll be on this a lot this week. So you can see his second last score is 60. and he scored 54. Let's say he'll score 70 in this next week, and let's say he'll average 70 as well. But even just using those, you can see he's going to drop in cash at least by like close to 100k, and that's with those an average of 70. You know, if you change that to say like a 60 to say what he's been doing, like, or what he's shown so far, you're going to get even more cash loss. So quickly have a look at that. So yeah, you can see if you maintain that, he'd be dropping down to like 630k very soon. So there's definitely an argument, I think, if people do want to sell him to try to unlock some value elsewhere in their team, I think that'll be the main way to go. I can see quite a few people saying, yeah, Fafita in the mud. It's just, look, there's two main things. He doesn't help himself. He does not go looking for work. He's just not that kind of player. He sticks to his side and he'll stay there and he'll wait for the ball to do damage, which he can obviously do. When he got the ball, he set up a try. He got a try assist, for Marzu, who's sitting pretty up there with 102. Who, if Marzu's ever an option, because Corey Thompson's out, Marzu I'd love to have in my team. He's tackle breaks, he's good worker, good base. But yes, just always that question mark with him. But yeah, like Jaden Campbell, got glue on his hands. Like every time he runs the ball to the right-hand side, he just does not pass it. He does not pass it to Fafita. So the players around him aren't helping. They do not pass him the ball. I like Taylor's comment. My man's a 120 kilo decoy runner. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And yeah, he doesn't go looking for the work. So you can't even rely on the base. That's the problem. You really need him to get those attacking stats. So Adam says Fafita will bounce back. Look, I'm sure Fafita will bounce back and he'll get a big score soon. It's just the fact that he's going to drop so much cash and what you can do with that money. If it lets you get to Grant, if it lets you upgrade your halves, so get to a Hines, something like that. It's there's a good, very strong argument to sell, but I think there's also a decent argument to hold, because if people are selling and you hold, that's kind of like you start having a point of difference as well. But it seems as we're kind of going more and more towards that base output, players like Fafita aren't quite not that much of a worker. You're looking more like the likes of a Crichton, Cam Murray, those kind of back rows, like a Josh Curran as well. So yeah, I mean, Philip Sammy looked really good on the wing, which is the problem because Sammy and Corey Thompson I expect to be the primary wingers for the Titans. So Marzu probably wouldn't get a look in when Thompson is back, but he's such a good option for them. Beau Fermor is a really interesting one. I think he played almost 80 minutes, I want to say. He played pretty decent minutes. Oh yeah, and sorry, I forgot that Fafita got benched as well. He got benched for the last 15 minutes, which was really, really frustrating. So yeah, that was another thing to put a bit of a red line across Fafita's interest for us at the moment. So yeah, Fermor played the full 80 minutes, which is a good sign. And it seemed like the Titans were favouring that left-hand side. So someone like Fermor could be, maybe an option. He's a lot cheaper. He's 379k. I mean, look, he did get some attacking stats that did boost up his score. A line break and a try, but take those out. That's 27 points you take out. They're still 50. If you're getting a 50 from Fermor without that try and line break, you would just say, well, he only got 4 points less than Fafita, and he costs 400k less. So, and he's dual. So there could be argument to maybe do that particular downgrade. It seems like they were attacking the left, so I'm not sure if it seems like it's a bit of a plan from the coach. But yeah, having Fafita on the right, he was doing all of his damage last season on the left, so it is a bit frustrating. Sexton pretty solid with 53. Jaden Campbell, the Fafita killer, on 53 as well. But not really too much more I think to talk out of that. I know a few people were looking at Will Smith again, but he came off the bench, so I'm not seeing him as an option. On the Warriors, so ultimately lost out in the end, but it was a pretty fun game to watch. Wade Egan scored another try. Reece Walsh looked really good, got the goal kicking, so potentially an option if you are looking to go a bit cheaper in fullback, or maybe go for a more pod option. They still do have a nice couple of games coming up as well. But if you're rocking like a Teddy Pappy combo like myself, don't really have a big reason to move off. So I'm not sure how many people would be looking at getting Reece Walsh. Maybe those who are selling Turbo potentially this week. When we get to the Manly game, we'll definitely talk about Turbo, and I think what maybe my thoughts are whether you should hold or whether you should sell. But yeah, Josh Curran had a nice update as well. He was on about 48 pre-updates, and then he's gone up to 63. So again, pretty tidy. He scored 81 the week before. Montoya scored the try. Fennell Blake, who I own, pumped out 62, which is good. The base is not quite there for AFB just yet, but he did he got a line break in this with a few tackle breaks. But look, I don't want to take that away from him because I know that's in his game. That's back-to-back line breaks in both games. So I'm happy enough with AFB. I think I will definitely be holding Ewan Aiken 48, which at his price is fine. It's almost all in base as well. I know I spoke about potential for attacking stats. I don't quite see it with him though. It seems like he seems to be more of a decoy runner in those attacking phases. So yeah, Aiken probably will be. I'm thinking more he'll be a kind of a 45 to 55 player. I'm not sure how much upside he's actually going to get, but at his price, I'll take that. In all honesty, I think long term I'd probably try to flip him down to my center wing though. Katoa 44. So again, decent output, but without Sean Johnson, wasn't able to get those kind of attacking stats as well. And yeah, not really much else I think to speak of out of the Warriors. I mean, Matt Lodge did come back, but he went off the field vomiting, if anyone saw that. Apparently he was overheating. So I think that probably contributed to extra minutes for some of those forwards as well, because he does tend to be a bit of a killer for the other forwards in his team. But yeah, overall pretty fun game. But yeah, I think I ranted a lot about Fafita just then. Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on that game. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. So a couple of people mentioning Olakwatu. Let's talk about the Manly game. So the Roosters won 26-12. I think in a week, the Roosters showed us what exactly they're capable of. Really, really strong overall this game. Seagulls didn't really have that much of a chance, in all honesty. But yeah, again, the left side attackers for the Roosters all did better than the right side. So Tupanua, 86 points there. But I wouldn't read too much into that 86. He's very hot and cold with his scores. Very much a roller coaster. Like that 86 is including a try and 3 line breaks. So that's what's up. 47 points in attacking stats. If you take that off, it's less than 40 in base, which, look, is okay for his price. And he does get that attacking upside as well. It's interesting why how the Roosters have swapped him, Tupanua and Crichton. Didn't seem to help Crichton that much either. Only the 45 points here. He was very good last season on the left for the Roosters, and I thought he'd be staying there because I thought the left side would be more where you get the likes of Keary and Walker operating. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that Crichton has been moved to the right. I'm not sure if that'll be a full-time thing or if that's just for maybe a few weeks that they're kind of trialing, because they're also still rotating the backs a lot for the Roosters. So Billy Smith was playing on the right wing today. Not today, sorry. On, what was it? Friday. On Friday. Manu was at right centre. Momorowski was on the left. So they've been kind of switching things around, which gives me a feeling that they're not fully set yet on that kind of back line. So maybe there's something with the back rowers as well. So Angus, I'm more keen to just hold on to, because I think, look, he can still punch out 45 in base, and any chance of some attacking stats, we know he can do well. Like, I think he's less of an issue for me than, say, a Fafita. Also because he's like 100k cheaper than Fafita and not scoring that differently. So, again, this is why I'm saying I think the 2RF this week is such a big thing to talk about. Quickly touching on the other Roosters players before I speak about some of those Manly players. So, yeah, Connor Watson did well this game, got a try assist, big 77. So, if anyone held him from last week, that's a really good output from him. Teddy, back to the Teddy that we used to see, where, when he's got all of his boys back, he's got Keary, Walker, Radley. Radley's really important for the Roosters attack. Teddy punches out 84, which is looking like a good score so far, at least for this season. Last season we were saying, we need to captain 140, 150. I'm starting to think 85, 90 is very good for a captain so far. So yeah, 84 from Teddy. Anyone who did captain, I was not high on captaining Teddy just because I wasn't sure how the Roosters might bounce back, but yeah, look, Tedesco, good output from him. I mean, that Butcher is not going to get 114 every week, so I wouldn't be banking on that. But look, massive score from him. Daniel Tupou, I know a few people own Tupou. I was a bit down on Tupou, but I probably missed the mark on that one. I think I was down on him without really thinking that when the Roosters get all their players back, he's probably going to be a better option. Last year he averaged around 59. So yeah, I was probably a bit off the mark with Tupou. Now, Takiaho is an interesting one. He scored 69 in only base and power, which is insane. 28 tackles, 32 points in hit-ups as well. So really, really big output from Takiaho there. And we're just going to have a quick look at the minutes. I did watch the game. Watson did get that injury, so I'm wondering if that had an impact on the potential minutes for Takiaho. But so he played 63 minutes. And he was named, I believe, to start from memory. There was a bit of a jiggery hokery there, and yeah, Fletcher Baker only the 14 minutes, so that probably dents his appeal. I know he had a starting role last week, but playing 14 minutes, yeah, not ideal. Now Takiaho, big minutes. Last season he was definitely more of an option when he was goal kicking. Maybe someone that we can think about more. I wouldn't be jumping on though, just because of the what looks like the proper rotation still kind of, in the works. But yeah, Keary and Walker, good outings from them. So Walker started really, really strong. Good to see him taking on the line, doing his kind of jinking runs that he was doing from last year as well. So 59 points, I'll take that from Walker. Don't think he's my biggest sell candidate. Now, I did see someone earlier in the chat say, I think they mentioned about selling Walker for a Hines. Now, I think it's an upgrade. I think Hines is probably better. That is probably the better option than Walker. But I'm just thinking, it sounds more like a luxury move. Like, I think Walker is fine, and the Roosters have a great draw from rounds 4 onwards. And so I think you're going to want to be owning, Sam Walker during that period of time, especially because the fact that he's goal kicking, Roosters can score a lot of points. So if I'll have a quick look at the draw there for the Roosters. So yeah, after round 4, or from round 4 onwards, you've got up until round 10, Cowboys, Broncos, Warriors, Dragons, Bulldogs, Titans. That's a really nice 5-game stretch there. So I can see a lot of points potentially on offer for the Roosters. And the thing with the Roosters as well is that, they're a good team. So you know that they can score good points even in those tougher matchups as well. But yeah, Billy Smith, 32, basically all in base. Manu was looking like a bit of an option if he stayed on the right wing, but only the 29 there. It did look like he picked up a bit of a knock as well. But yeah, a few people saying they're keeping Angus. Angus is great, but overpriced. I agree, he probably is overpriced. The problem is that it looks like a lot of players are overpriced because of what happened last year. So I think the focus has to be on taking out those players who are probably going to lose more than others. I know it sounds really simple, but say I would expect Fafita to drop more cash than a Crichton if he keeps it up. Therefore, I'd consider Fafita to be more of an issue than say a Crichton. Crichton, I'm happy enough. I think he is overpriced, but I don't think he's my biggest issue. I want to try to focus more on my kind of weak links this season. I think I tended to have had a tendency to always do more luxury sideways moves. I'm trying to be a bit more, think about more of the injured players, the weak links, and try to make those kind of changes as well. I don't think Crichton is my weak link this week. But yeah, Manly. Let's talk about Manly. So yeah, again, did not look very good overall. I mean, coming up against a decent team, but attacking wise, they just seem a little bit clunky. Again, Roosters are a good defense, so they were able to manage Turbo. So only the 39 points. So he's going to drop massive cash. So I had that price change calculator. Let's just have a quick look at Tom Trbojevic. Let's say, so he's got 62 and his last score was 39. Let's say his average is, let's say it's going to be 90. Let's say it's 90. Even at that, his price is going to plummet. He's going to go down to, around 900k in the next few weeks if he maintains that. And even a 90 average, can you see him maintaining a 90 average? I was probably being a bit more conservative there. But yeah, so Turbo, it's a real dilemma, I think, for people. Now, the thing with Manly is that they go on a nice run of games from round 3 onwards. They've got the Bulldogs, the Raiders, the Knights, the Titans, the Sharks. So it's a pretty decent run of games there. But yeah, I think there is a definite argument because of the amount of money you're going to lose, potentially selling Turbo, using that to beef up the rest of your squad, and then maybe just buying back when he's dropped 200, 300k potentially. Could be an argument. It's a really, really tough proposition, I think, for people who do own Turbo. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. Yeah, I see someone in the chat, Paycheck, saying sell Turbo for Cleary. So even Cleary, I feel like Cleary's also going to be potentially, he may be a bit at risk of, losing value. Although we're still seeing some of the halves do okay. Walker's done fine this week. Nico Hines has done really good this week as well. So Cleary could maybe be the exception where he can actually maintain that price tag. I doubt it. I feel like he's going to regress maybe even 5-10 points, which means he will probably drop some cash. The fact that he's not back until round 4 though, and you kind of maybe want to make more of a decision on Turbo this week, it's hard to say, Turbo for Cleary, unless you just kind of keep that money in the bank to go for Cleary straight away. Could be a bit of a pod move. I see someone in the chat as well said, keep Daly Cherry Evans or sell to make the coin. I don't know. Cherry Evans is not too expensive. Is he 680k, 695k? And as I said, the run of games coming up is pretty good. I think he scored pretty well last week as well, didn't he? He scored, what did he score, 60 last week? I can't even remember. Yeah, he scored 60. So he's got back-to-back 60-point efforts, which is fine. Not great at his price tag, but I would maybe keep Cherry Evans, I think, just because I feel like he'll probably lose value, but not as much as, say, the likes of a Turbo. I think Cherry Evans is probably okay to hold. Now, Olukwatu. I want to discuss Olukwatu. I know a few people were asking about him in the chat as well. I will definitely talk about Olukwatu, I think, in this week's video, because that 77 came in base and power and no attacking stats, which is insane. So 32 tackles, 12 tackle breaks. So that's the kind of back rower he is, 12 tackle breaks. I think I saw someone comment on my video that Olukwatu is their pod. And that's a great pod to have in your 2RF. A nice price at 512k. Decent amount of games coming up, as I keep saying, with Manly. So could be an option. But yeah, those numbers, there's no attacking stats there apart from base and power. 77 is insane. So definitely someone, I think, who we need to keep an eye on. Maybe even if you want to do that Fafita downgrade, you can go maybe to Olukwatu potentially. He does blow hot and cold at times, similar to maybe like Tupanua, but a 77 in base and power, I don't think you're going to get that from Tupanua that often as well. So yeah, 77, that's a great score. Definitely is worth of consideration. I'll probably have to do more analysis on stats and things, look at last season as well. But yeah, no, could be a serious option. But yeah, overall, I'm not looking too many Manly Sea Eagles players. Bullimore. So I missed parts of this game, but so he only got the 20 points. I'll have a quick look at the minutes. That might help me understand what went on here. So I know Andrew Davey got moved up onto the bench at kickoff. And so yeah, only the 32 minutes for Bullimore, which is not ideal. So Davey played 29. Lawton played 28, so he played a bit more this week because he did get a HRA last week. And so, yeah, bigger minutes as well from Dylan Walker coming off the bench. So it seemed like there was a few less minutes on offer for the props and also for Bullimore, only the 32 minutes. So, yeah, anyone let me know in the chat if there was anything specific that happened actually in that game. But I do recall seeing people say that he was, on the bench, and I think Davey probably didn't help him either. So, yeah, 20 points. Maybe not necessarily the biggest sell this week, just because I'd be interested to see what his break even is. And I think if his break even was, say, 30, if it was around 30, 35, I'd maybe hold him because he probably won't drop that much in value. But say, for example, if you haven't got someone like, say, a Josh King, who looks like a great cheapie, it could be an easy swap. Maybe it's from Bullimore to King. Now that Davey's on the bench, it looks like he's going to take minutes away, and then we know Schuster's going to come back at some point as well. Whereas Josh King, who I've mentioned in last week's video, looks a bit more secure for minutes. So I think that could be a pretty easy downgrade to make, to free up, maybe 25, 30k. And yeah, a few people in the chat are discussing the Turbo. So yeah, one thing you could even do is you could sell Turbo for like Nico Hines, because Hines is available at fullback. And then what you can do is whenever you want to buy your next fullback, so say if Turbo's bottomed out in price, you can just take out whoever your halfback is and swap Hines up to your halfback, and then you can bring in Turbo back that way. That's something you could even consider. You don't have to necessarily go for like a Walsh or a Gutherson or a Pappenhausen. You could even just go for someone like Nico Hines, so that in the future you can do that kind of flip. So that's something you can consider as well. But yeah, no, I am glad that I don't own Turbo. It's really, really tough first 2 rounds, but if you bought him, you probably would have known that the first 2 rounds were tough. But I don't think anyone would have expected this much of a regression in the scoring so far. So you can't really be, we can't know that prior to the season. All right, next game we haven't discussed. Storm's Rabbitohs, so we'll start from the top. So yeah, Harry Grant. If you guys follow my Twitter, you would see that I said, I need Harry Grant. And it didn't help when they scored the first try, and then I see him standing over the ball and the tee, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? Is Harry Grant goal kicking? Is this Cameron Smith 2.0? Yes, he was incredible. He was so good. Just reminded everyone he's the best. Number 9. I'm kind of annoyed at myself because I have Marnie, and all preseason I was saying Grant is the best hooker to go for. Just go Grant. He was in my first preseason team, I want to say, and my rationale was I just want to save the trade. I know he's the best option, so I'll just stick with him I'll miss 1 round and then I'll go with him. Marnie scored 59, and what did he score, like 30 last week? So in 1 less game, Grant's only lost like a few points from Marnie. And I know it's a trade I'm going to want to do now soon. So I'm kind of filthy that I didn't start with Grant. I think anyone who started with Grant, you're laughing. Incredible performance from him. I see Paul in the chat saying, are we going Marnie to Grant? I don't think it has to. It depends on Marnie's break even, because if he can kind of maintain his value, I might consider keeping. But he is versing the Storm this round 3. So yeah, I think round 4 onwards, I'll definitely want more Storm players. That's when they verse the Bulldogs. And I think they also go on a good run of games. It seems like all the kind of top teams go with good draws from round 4 onwards. So yeah, they've got Bulldogs, Raiders, Sharks, Warriors, Knights, Dragons. To be honest, I'm going to want Storm players at any point in the season. But yeah, Marnie, he scored 59 with a try, as people are saying in the chat. Grant scored 92 without a try. A couple of try assists, 40 tackles. He played big minutes as well. This game obviously did go into extra time, and it was a fantastic game as well. Great watch. Latrell's field goal was insane. Missed all his conversions, and then he slots that 40-meter field goal, and it was soaring. And then Pappy comes in clutch in the end. But yeah, Grant, those numbers are just insane. 2 try assists, 40 tackles, couple of tackle breaks, a line break, lots of run meters. Jeez, we need Harry Grant. I think, yeah, I would not be surprised if I go for Grant this week. Just rip off the band-aid, just get him. I think Paul's saying he'll lose a break even of 98. Yeah, if Marnie's got a break even of 98 and he's versing the Storm, I do not see him getting to 98. So yeah, it could be a switch then from Marnie to Grant. Would not be surprised. Adam, Marnie's a flop. I don't know about flop, bit harsh. He did look, he looks good in real life. Just does not seem to translate to Supercoach. Paycheck, scared that Grant will get injured again. Yeah, he has got a few recent injury concerns, but I wouldn't be that bothered. And he did not look like he had any injury issues. And look, if he gets injured, we will just trade him out. I don't think it's a great reason to not bring in someone when you know that he can deliver 92 points like that, like absolute quality. And Munster definitely deserves a shout out as well. I think anyone who held Munster and Grant, you're laughing because you've got two fantastic options there now sitting in your team. Munster 74 with the try, good base. You got 22 tackles in there. 6 tackle breaks, a line break in there. So yeah, really solid performance from Munster. You'd be very happy with that. Now, Campbell Graham and Jackson Pollard both scored tries. Campbell Graham has actually had 2 decent games in a row. I think he scored 80 last week and now 78. So sub 500k, he could be a sneaky pod if people are looking to go for Rabbitohs players. But probably you wouldn't go for them until I think round 5, because the next couple of games are still tough. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Campbell Graham because he's had a couple of nice scores. Jackson Pollard as well with a good score. And Murray, 76 off the bench. He's completely shattering my theory where I say Murray starts the season slow. Big 76 from Murray. I think he played big minutes off the bench. Like, he was benched, but yeah, look, 44 tackles. He had that nice line break assist as well. I can't remember for who, but he kind of poked his nose through, gave away the offload. So it shows that kind of attacking upside that Murray does have. So yeah, Murray, I don't think I'd personally go for Murray, but look, if you've got him, even with that benching, I think you can definitely hold him. Jai Arrow, again, pretty good score of 55. So I think anyone who started with Arrow at his price point with that dual flexibility, I think he's pretty decent hold. Probably not a priority buy just because I think all the other issues we might have to do. But yeah, tries for Johnston, so 64. Latrell, 71, so pretty good output from him. Obviously missed the goal kicks, so that kind of gave him some negative points. But no, overall it was a great match. I mean, I thought the Storm were going to run away with it. They were so good in the first half, but then the Rabbitohs, just kind of hung in there, and they came back really strong at the back end of that game. So that was a really good game to watch. Obviously, it was a nail biter with only the 1 point difference. But yeah, Ilias just does not look a good option in these tougher matchups. So definitely one that I'll keep on the non-player reserves. And yeah, Cody Walker. Look, I know a few people, I think in the video comments last week said, oh, if you bought Walker from the beginning, you probably should have stuck with him because he was a gun, which I tend to agree with. Try to stick with your gun players. But I did say if I had Walker, I'd sell for Munster. At least this week it looks like it's a good decision on paper because you would have netted, 50, 60 points difference. Yeah, Walker's a tough one. If people own Walker this week, Anyone in the chat who has Walker, let me know, and let me know what you're thinking, because he's still got 2 tough games. He will also drop massive cash as well. I can definitely see an argument to sell Walker, because even the Rabbitohs overall, their attack, they did look better with Latrell, but still not quite there. But yeah, I can see Adam. He's holding Walker, but he's very disappointed. Yeah, I'd be very disappointed as well if you started with Cody Walker. It's just not, the punt has not worked out at the start of the season in the first 2 rounds, and it will definitely drop a lot of value as well. But yeah, shout out to Josh King from the Storm, 51 points, played big minutes. I think he played 61 minutes. So the 2 good scores back to back, I think looks like a good cheapie cash cow in the forwards. So definitely will be one of the more popular buys this week. Only 51 for Pappenhausen. I mean, he did. There was that try that was disallowed that he could have got the try assist for, so he could have got some extra points there. He wasn't goal kicking from the beginning, which I thought was a bit strange, but thankfully he got the ones in front instead of on the sideline. And he slotted that field goal. It was a bit of a strange game for the Storm in the second half. They didn't have that much of the ball, so I'm not too concerned with Pappenhausen. So I'm happy to stick with Pappenhausen, I think, for now. Jesse Bromwich, 59 points, is a good outing. And Xavier Coates got the try and the try assist. So any Coates owners, you've done well there as well. But yeah, I think Grant and Munster are the 2 I'm looking at getting in ASAP. And from the Rabbitohs, maybe a Cam Murray, but maybe a Campbell Graham, but not too many options I think I'm looking there at the moment. And Mitchell, thank God I went Seawalker to Munster. Yeah, that was a good move. All right, let's get on to the Dragons and Panthers. So yeah, a bit of a controversy around this game. So let me know in the chat as well your thoughts around that Jaden Sewer sin bin. It was a bit suspect, put it that way. But that didn't help the Dragons, because that's when the Panthers scored their points, right? Kick out, 87 points, scored the double. Yeah, I can see a lot of Fafita to kick out trades this week. He does this though. Kick out sucks you in with his big scores, and then he disappoints. I think he scored 5 points in like the second half, or like in 20 minutes. He did not score a lot of points at one point in the second half. So that's something to maybe think about more. Yeah, Coruscant, my bad. I kind of poo-pooed Coruscant at the start of the season, and he's come pretty good. First 2 weeks, he's done very well, but he's done better than Marnie, who was my pick. So Coruscant is maybe an option. I don't know. I'm torn because he has been a good Supercoach option in the past, but I just feel like I want Grant. I don't know. I feel like if I go to Coruscant, I'm still going to want to try get to Grant. So I'm thinking I might just go to Grant from the beginning and just leave it at that and leave Coruscant. But if you got Coruscant, I think you've done well first 2 rounds. The Panthers do have a good draw coming up as well. It seems like he'll probably benefit a bit more maybe without Cleary. So he'll be probably one I don't get. I can see myself not getting him. But I'll be interested to see how he scores when Cleary comes back. See if potentially Cleary takes more of those kind of those attacking stats maybe off someone like Coruscant. But Isaiah, again, another good score, 64 points, all in base, essentially. So he scored about 76 last week, I think it was. So 500k, again, could be a good 2RF option. I think there's so many 2RS that we can consider this week if you are thinking about taking out Fafita. Spencer Linnu. So we've just heard that I think Fisher Harris and Sorensen are going to be missing next week's game. So that could mean big minutes for Spencer Linnu. And the fact that he's got 61 now in his second round means that his rolling, in terms of the rolling average for price changes, will probably boost him up in terms of the price rise. So Linnu could maybe be a downgrade option as well. And obviously we know that Leota is going to be out for like the next 7 weeks, I think, as well. Obviously the score is boosted by the fact he got that try and the line break, but take those out, take out 27 points. He would be on 34 points, which is kind of where he's normally at. So the try did definitely boost his score. So maybe it's not one I'd jump on straight away, but I think it does definitely become a bit more interesting now with those front row forward injuries at the Panthers. Lomax, quick shout out to Lomax, got a sin bin, scored a try, still scored 50 points. So yeah, Lomax. Oh, I should have got Lomax instead of Stags, as I had in one of my drafts preseason, because he scored 70 last week, 50 this week, 60 without that sin bin. So pretty good outing again from him. Not much more to speak of from the Dragons. So there was an injury for Andrew McCulloch. So maybe something happens there in terms of the rotation. Maybe they get I imagine Moses and Mbai will just come in at hooker. But yeah, Ben Hunt, good game there, 75. I think got a 1 or 2 try assists, I want to say. Let me have a quick look. He got 1 try assist. But yeah, decent score there. Targo's looking great. Great pick in your center wing. Definitely a set and forget. Very easy play. I think each week he's got great work rate. So yeah, 56, really happy with that. Now, a few people asked about Sloan. I can see someone asked in the chat about Sloan. So Adam saying, they just bought Sloan. Everyone was talking him up. He's playing fullback, but still scored poor. Thoughts? Yeah, he scored 26 points, and that is with a try. That is something with Sloan. He has like no base. He has like no work rate. You can see 8 tackles, and 7 points in runs, and that's it. So he is very much reliant on those attacking stats. So that is a concern. 26 points with a try. That's pretty gross in all honesty. But I feel like you could keep because he had a good game last week. So I think if you've got him, I'd be tempted to hold just because you know that he's got that potential in him. The draw is tough, that's for sure. They've got the Sharks, who look pretty good themselves, Eels, then the Rabbitohs, then it's the Knights, then it's the Roosters, Tigers, and then Melbourne. So it doesn't seem like the draw really opens up for them until about rounds 10. But yeah, so the draw is tough for the Dragons. I think I'd be much more confident purchasing someone like a Lomax instead of a Sloan. He's got that base work rate. So I'd be more tempted to stick with someone like Lomax. Sloan is a bit of an iffy one. But yeah, see Jason in the chat saying Lomax is horrendous. Still got 50. That's kind of the good thing with them. He's got that underlying work rate as well, and he's got the goal kicking, which definitely boosts up his scores. Yes, Sloan's a tough one. I'd be tempted to keep, but I can see the motivation to sell. It would just be for who? Because I imagine, say, if you wanted to make money, I mean, who would you go to? Maybe to Fermor in your center wing. That might free up like 70k. Maybe that 70k gets you Marnie to Grant. And that kind of combination of moves, I'd probably say that's a probably decent set of moves. But around his price, I don't see much. If it does feel sideways, going Sloan to Lomax. But like I wouldn't be doing that move. I think if you're going to sell a Dragons player, try to capitalize the player with a better draw instead of going with Lomax. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on that one. I'd maybe just, I think it depends on the combination of kind of moves. So say like that, if that lets you do like that Marnie to Grant move, that could be a decent trade down then. Tom, Marnie's a flop. 59 with a try. A lot of Marnie hate in the chat. Everyone's saying he's a flop. Maybe I'm just blindsided. Maybe I'm biased because I have him in my team. But yeah, didn't have much more to say, I think, on the Dragons-Panthers game. Oh yeah, sorry, Toto injury. So it looks like it could be, I think, about 3 or 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL. So it'll be interesting to see who the replacement winger is. Might be someone like a Robert Jennings. Maybe Taylor May gets a run there. Or it could be, is it Christian Crichton? Stephen Crichton's brother. So keep a look out there on Teamless Tuesday. Could potentially be a cheapie there, but not one that you'd have to jump on straight away. All right, let's get on to the Eels game, given that we have been speaking a little bit about Reid Marnie. I don't know if I want to say much more about Marnie. 59 with a try is not great. Happy with Dylan Brown. I'm happy with that 67 points. So Dylan Brown, I'm keen enough to keep. He's already got like more attacking stats than what he did like all of last year. So he got a line break added, so he updated up to 67. Really good base. Was involved in that Mitchell Moses try. So Brown to Munster, I'm not as in a rush to do. So Grant is looking more of the priority for me in terms of that upgrade instead of say on Munster. Gutherson got the goal kicking, so that definitely did help boost up his score to 81. So good for any Gutho owners. Papali'i very solid as well with 65. Yeah, Marnie to Grant. Look, I think Marnie to Grant, I don't see any issue, in all honesty, with that move. I'd be very tempted to do that myself, just because I think it's been one game from Grant, and it's already very obvious, kind of what we knew already, but we knew that Grant was the better option, I think. I think we were just hoping that Marnie could start fast, kind of what he did for last season. He just hasn't hit the ground running yet. So some people more patient than me could wait. I might just do the swap though. Jason, Taylor made now an option that Bizzer is out. Yeah, provided he gets named. I think it just depends whoever gets named there. But in any case, I wouldn't be buying them straight away. Because say, for example, Toto only was a 3-week injury. You wouldn't even get the 3 weeks out of that cheapie to make any price rises. So I would only jump on that replacement in their third game, if potentially it looks like Toto's injury is a bit longer term. But yeah, from the Eels, yeah, Brown, I think any Brown owners can stick solid with him. Penasini, again, very, very solid. Very happy with that in my center wing. 49, almost all in just base and power. So very, very satisfied with that. Now, Nico Hines, yeah, he's looking like a buy. He's looking like a great buy. 101 points. He obviously kicked that goal to win the game for them. It was absolute scenes when they won the game. I know a few people I've read online saying they're celebrating like it was a grand final win. Just let them enjoy the win. They won. I don't get why people are so fussed that they're celebrating the fact that they won a close game. Just let them celebrate. What does it matter, you know? So what if they're celebrating like they won a grand final? Just let them have it. Let them have their fun. That's my opinion on it anyway. Because, yeah, people are like, oh, they're carrying on. They're celebrating like it was a grand final. I'm like, look, man, they just won a game in the last minute. Just chill out. Let them enjoy their win. That was my opinion anyway, you know? Why can't people have fun? But yeah, Hines is looking like a great buy. I really want to get in Hines somehow. But I don't want to sell Walker to him. Just because I think Walker from round 4 will be a good hold. So just to kind of address that question, because I think a few people did ask that in the chat earlier. It might be Schneider up to Hines. You know, say you did Fafita down to, I don't know, not Josh King because he's in your front row forward. Okay, say you have the duels. Fafita down to Josh King. If that let you go from Schneider to Nico Hines, I'd be okay with that, I think, because Hines is looking great. Looking really, really good at the moment. Nakora, I can see someone asked in the chat. I think they said, is Nakora a sell? I want to say. Sorry, I'm just trying to find your comment in the chat. Apologies. Paul, do you think I should get rid of Nakora? Yes, I think Nakora is a sell. Just not looking like he was delivering on what we kind of thought pre-season. So yeah, I think Nakora is a sell. And if so, who? Now that's a entirely different kettle of fish. It all depends on kind of your budget. I mean, around the price, those 480k guys like Aitken, Tamalolo, potentially an option, but I don't even think he's an immediate buy. I would be more tempted to maybe downgrade. So maybe go down to someone like a Nanai, maybe like a Beau Fermor could be a decent option. Maybe go all the way down to a cheapie if that lets you do a big upgrade elsewhere. You know, say for example, you go down to one of those second row forward cheapies, or say via duels. Let's say you can get to Josh King, then that frees you like 200k. And if that 200k, I don't know, gets you Marnie to Grant and maybe an extra move, say one of your dud center wings to like a low max, hypothetically. I think those are a good set of moves. So it's really team dependent. Obviously, that's a bit of a cop out response, but yeah, I think I'll need to really have a good think about the 2RF position this week, because I think every price point, you know, your guns, mid ranges, the cheapies, there's value, there's picks. You know, if you want to spend up, you could go to someone like Josh Curran. I think Curran seems to be delivering on his price tag at the moment. Even in a game where he didn't look like he did much, scored 63 points. So yeah, Curran I think is a decent option as well. But yeah, Nakora I think is a sell, in my opinion. As you can see, Clutch Camel, Nakora or Crichton. I'm going to assume that's Crichton. In terms of a sell, I think Nakora is more of a sell than Crichton. That's my opinion there. But yeah, pretty decent scores from quite a few of the Sharks players actually. So Teague Wilton has been really good. 77 points here. I believe he scored another try this week. 36 tackles, so really good base there. So the floor is good with Teague Wilton. The price is a bit awkward, but you know what? That could be your Nakora replacement. In all honesty, again, Nakora, a right-sided edge player, just does not seem to do as good as their left-sided counterpart. So Teague Wilton could be an option. Look, he's got 85 and then a 77. So that could be really good for cash generation as well. So yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, Wilton could be a shout. And he could be the guy that a lot of people maybe downgrade Nakora to. Maybe it's a bit sideways that you're just swapping the field. It also does depend on the injury to Wade Graham. But Wade Graham's had such a horrendous run of injury problems that, you know, there potentially could be an extended run of minutes there for Wilton. So yeah, I think Wilton is a solid option. Adam says, when Tohu Harris returns, Curran, Aitken and Katoa might lose minutes. I think Tohu's return would affect Aitken and Katoa more than, say, Curran. I think Curran is pretty safe. I think when Tohu returns, Curran will just go back to an edge and still play big minutes. So for a longer term pick, I think Curran is the one to go for. Aiken and Katoa, there might be a bit of a risk there when Tohu Harris comes back, but I think that's still a few weeks away as well. So Teague Wilton, I think that might be potentially someone I think I'll talk about Wilton more this week as well. Maybe try to get some updated information as well on the Wade Graham injury. Good scores from excuse me. Good scores from Connor Tracy, Matt Moylan, and Del Finucane, and Will Kennedy, 87 points as well. But I don't think too many people are going to be owning him or probably going for him. But I think Hines is the big one. He scored 72 last week, now 101. So I think in Hines, I'm going to try to get to Hines, I think. A couple of questions in the chat. 404, Nanai 34 with a try is concerning. Yep. I think I'm done with the Sharks game. We'll talk about the Cowboys Raiders. Now, I'll admit, I did not watch this game. Because I'd already watched the Sharks game. I'd already watched the Titans game. I had a bit of fatigue from KO. So I thought, I'm going to watch a movie instead. And I decided not to watch this game. I didn't think it was going to be a great game. And by all reports, it was not a great game. So all I did was I just watched the highlights this morning. And I looked at the stats. And I think Nanai was the big one, scored 35 points with a last-minute try. So really concerning. Even more concerning for my own team is Helam Lukey. So he is a sell for me. If anyone owns Lukey, he played like 14 minutes off the bench. I think that's an easy sell. He's going to drop in value. So again, this is why I'm thinking the 2RF. I'm going to think about it a bit more. So those guys like, Fermor, Teague Wilton, I'm definitely having a good think about this week. So Lukey, probably a sell for me. Taumalolo, I think you've got Taumalolo. I think you can hold. It seems as though he's slowly getting back up to the minutes. So he played 53 minutes this week, scored 56 points. So that's pretty good output. Murray Talaugi on the wing did well there. Tabo Fido, I know a couple of people in my comments earlier this week were asking about the hammer and holding. I suggested to hold just because the next few games are still okay. So 60 points here is pretty good. Tom Dearden, I think he's actually scored quite well the past couple of weeks, but it's so hard to trust Cowboys attacking players because they're so inconsistent at times. It's so hard to get a read on them. But he scored 67 the first week, then 59. Could be an option, but I don't know. It doesn't fill me with confidence. I think if you're going to buy in your halves, go with your Walkers, go with your Hines, get your Munsters, get your Dylan Browns. Like that could be a really nice kind of 4 halves and 5-8 combo to run if you can get there. Dylan Brown, Munster, Walker and Hines for the long term. That could be actually quite a good combo to run. I can see Shulzy in the chat saying, Peyton is making me lose my hair. Shulzy, I don't think you're the only one. I think a lot of people are in the same boat as well. Nanai, only the 35 points here. Someone in the chat mentioned he had a lot of negative stats. So again, sorry, I missed this game because I actively avoided this game. But he scored that try. I saw the replay of that. Minus 11. Missed 11 missed tackles. That's a lot. For an edge back row, that's not good. 11 missed tackles. From all reports, he still looked okay on the eye test. But 11 missed tackles is not good there. And then 3 errors. So a lot of negative stats in there. So he could have actually maybe, take some of those out, pushing more of a 40 to 42, which is a little bit, better. But it probably just means that he's not as an immediate of a buy as we thought, because last week he scored about 56, then 35 this week. So with that 35 and his rolling average for a bit longer, probably means he's not as much of a priority buy, maybe we thought he was going to be last week. So not much from the Raiders. So Harry Onara has actually scored quite well the past couple of weeks. So again, another 2RF that we can maybe consider. He did get the try. So 69 points, and he scored 67 last week. So that's pretty decent, 2 games from CHN. But I don't know. I'm always iffy with Ricky's forwards. And not much else I think out of the Cowboys. As I mentioned, Lukey I think is a sell. I think it'll be interesting to see. Unfortunately, Mitch Dunn looks like he's done his ACL, so that might open up a few more minutes for some of the forwards. So we might have to see what kind of Peyton does on TLT. But I can see Tom in the chat saying Todd Payton is a dually. Paycheck. I trust Lolo. I don't trust Peyton. I think a lot of people are not vibing with Todd Todd Payton and his forward rotation, that's for sure. Yeah, I feel in the same boat as well. So any Lukionas, Nanai, Taumalolo, look, I don't think Taumalolo is your biggest sell at the moment. So I think you can definitely hold strong with him. But yeah, Raiders, there's just not much there that appeals to me at the moment. I mean, White and 56 is solid, but again, probably not what you'd hope to see, I think. But yeah, not much more out of this game I kind of wanted to discuss. So there's a few more people in the chat. So Stuart saying, Angus Crichton on the edge is not the same as him in the middle, and Fafita will lose coin. Do I downgrade them to cheaper options with similar output? Yeah, we kind of spoke about this a little bit earlier, if you were here a little bit earlier, Stuart. So like Crichton's still on the edge, and he was never playing in the middle. He was always on the left edge. He just switched to the right edge, which I don't think has been doing him any good. And yeah, Fafita, I think Fafita potentially is more of a sell than Crichton. I've got a bit more confidence in Crichton. The draw is really nice from round 4 onwards, so I'm hopeful for some attacking stats there, potentially. But Fafita, like at least with Crichton, you know that he's got that base. Fafita doesn't have the base, and it looks like the players around him are not helping. You know, Campbell is glue hands, does not pass the ball. They go left a lot. So Brimson was very good, which is probably another reason why they went to the right. But yeah, Fafita a lot of the times is a decoy runner, so I'm a lot less keen on Fafita as I am, say, a Crichton. So I see there's definite merit, I think, in selling Fafita, potentially. Crichton I'm a little bit less keen on. But yeah, that's my thoughts, I think, on that. Hugh, is Stags a sell? Spoke about this earlier, so if anyone is new, has just joined the chat, I haven't been going game by game. So if you skip earlier in the stream, I was kind of jumping around based on kind of the main talking points. So I did already speak about the Bulldogs Broncos game. I don't think Stags is a sell. Look, if he doesn't drop the ball over the line, he'd be looking at it like an extra 27 points. So he'd be sitting on closer to 60, and then we'd be having a different conversation, right? So I don't think Stags is a sell. The next 2 games are good. So I'm gonna try calm down a bit on Stags and Cobbo, because I bought Cobbo this week as well. So I don't think Stags is a sell. Tom, Walker is a slam dunk sell. If you're talking about Cody Walker, then yeah, probably is a sell, because it looks like he's going to drop massive cash. Ethan, thoughts on selling Turbo? Yeah, spoke about this a little bit earlier in the Sea Eagles game. It's a really tough one because the nice run of game starts now, but I think we're already seeing that the scoring is not what it was last year. So even if he scores well, say he scores like 90, he's still going to drop cash. And in my head, I'm thinking cash generation, it looks like cash generation is actually going to be a real struggle at the beginning of the year, because it looks like so many of our gun players are going to be dropping in value. So I think going from, say, like a Turbo to a Hines, that's 600k you're saving there. You can make such big upgrades elsewhere. And then I think Turbo will probably drop enough in cash that you can maybe look to get him back a bit later, or you can use that spare money to go for someone like a Nathan Cleary in the future. So I'm okay with selling Turbo. I think beginning of the season, if you asked me to sell Turbo when he's got the Bulldogs in round 3, I would say no way. But now it seems like a bit of a different kettle of fish, just the way that the scoring looks. And Sea Eagles' attack is not looking as sharp as it was at the back end of last year as well. Paycheck, only week 2. Do you think we're trading guns too soon? Yes and no. I think it really depends on the specific gun. Like, for example, those ones who are like, I think selling the ones who are top dollar, who are not delivering on their price tag, there's more of a reason to sell them, because we can use that extra money to get onto the cheapies, get onto those mid-rangers who are going to go up in value and build that cash. You know, if you ask me though to sell, like, say, Sam Walker, Angus Crichton, those guys who are not as expensive as those top dollar ones, as say like your Turbos, your Fafitas, then I think it's a different story then. So I think I'm trying to not be too kind of rage trading on those gun players, but I think there's definite merits for selling some of them. Vaughan, thoughts on Billy Smith? Yeah, bit of an odd one. I mean, he looked generally not that involved, but scored 32 points, which is fine at his price. So I'm keeping. The run of games is still very good for the Roosters from rounds 4 onwards. He was playing right wing against Manly, so I think playing on the wing is really, really good. Good for him. So I think I'd be keeping, especially if it does look like he's going to stay more on the wing there. Adam, I'm making 3 trades again. Yeah, I think a few people will be playing 3 trades this week. I'll quickly speak on, I don't have much more to speak about this game. Last game we'll talk about is the Knights and the Tigers. I'm conscious I've already gone for an hour. So I'll quickly talk about this game, and then I'll show you my team very quickly as well, and just what I'm thinking. And then we'll probably wrap it up in about 5-10 minutes, I think. So yeah, Knights pretty dominant over the Tigers. Pretty comfortable win for them. No massive scores from this game, but Frizzell, 73. A really good score. Scored another try. So he's now had 2 good back-to-back scores. Again, another second row forward I need to consider to talk about because there's so many second row forwards I think this week who've done well. And a couple of the big ones like Fafita and Crichton have flopped a bit. So yeah, 2RF. Let me know in the chat. Actually, that's something as well. If there's any kind of key talking points or things that you might want covered this week, let me know in the chat and in the comments, because obviously I want to know what you guys are thinking about in terms of the key issues, so I can make sure I cover that. Like in my head, I'm thinking 2RF is a massive discussion point this week. Dan Gagai, again, had a really good game, scored another try. Dom Young, I know someone asked me about Dom Young. I know someone asked me about Dom Young in the most recent week. He looked decent again. I think he did score a try. Good. He always has good base as well. His base normally hovers around 25 to 30. So yeah, Dom Young could be an option. The Knights look like they're looking pretty decent, but again, only been 2 games. They were definitely versing a not hot Roosters and a pretty poor Tigers outfit, so I wouldn't buy into them so much. But Clifford, again, a pretty good game there. Randall, a bit disappointing, only the 38 points there, but they didn't have to defend as much this game, so understandable that I guess the numbers are lower. Kurt Mann's been disappointing though. I think he's playing that kind of ball playing lock, which is just not good for SuperCoach because they don't get the run meters. You know, they run to the line, but then they pass it, and that gives you no SuperCoach points, which is just not ideal. So yeah, I don't think much more to speak about. Leo Thompson, actually, 39 points, so he's bottom dollar. So supposedly he's actually above Momosia in the pecking order. So Fitzgibbon also picked up an injury, so I'd be quite keen to see what the forwards look like for the Knights in the next TLT, because Thompson, if you are looking to downgrade, maybe is an option. 175k, looked pretty good in the time he was on the field. So yeah, I think Leo Thompson maybe one to keep an eye on for this week. And then yeah, for the Tigers, not much to speak of there. I think overall not too much output. Tuolagi disappointing, only the 24 points. Yeah, so Garner came back this week. That definitely ate into his minutes. So yeah, not a great output from Tuolagi in this game. Leilua did decent. He was their main attacking outlet, 60 points there, but I think there are better second row forward options than Luciano in my opinion. But yeah, not really much I think to speak of out of the Tigers there. Pretty good win there for the Knights. That's kind of all the games. So I've realized we're on like an hour, so I'll quickly just go to my team. Kind of maybe show you guys what my initial thoughts are at the moment. So let me see a few questions. So NRL Center saying, how many trades can we make? So you can make normal 2 trades, or with the trade boost, you can make an extra trade up to 3. So this week, if you play your one of your trade boosts, you can make up to 3 trades this week. And I think a lot of people are going to be using the 3 trades this week just to set up, because this is the last round before the first price changes. So I think using those 3 trades will be a very popular option. Queenslander, will Cleary be an advantage considering his injuries, lack of match practice, and the present injuries in his team? Is it worth uprooting your present team for one player who could be injured again? I think you've asked very good questions there. Again, I don't think this is a reason why you need to jump on Cleary straight away, because he could be slightly underdone. But look, if he looks good after, say, 1 game, very quickly I'd be thinking, how can I get this guy in as well? So I think it's good to think in the back of your mind how you can maybe get to him, but no need to rip up your team. But, if you've got some avenues to get there, then I think you can. Ethan, what second rowers do you recommend selling for Fita? Yeah, that's a whole... There's so many players that we could talk about. I mean, I don't really want to say specific players at the moment, because I think I'll definitely cover it this week, that's for sure. It's definitely going to be a discussion point. But, I'm thinking like Curran for that at that price range. Cheaper than that, maybe I'm thinking like a Beau Fermor, maybe Teague Wilton. There's a few options, even if you wanted to go all the way down in price as well. So yeah, it really, really depends. And there's a lot of players that you can consider. So it's hard to kind of give specific recommendations. And also it depends on which other second row forwards that you already own. Jason, what is my plan to get Marnie to Grant? Yeah, so let's kind of start talking about my team a little bit for my own selfish purposes. So yeah, you can see Marnie is 595k, and Grant I think is 645. I want to say from memory. Yep, 645. So I need to find 50k basically. I've got 7.5k in the bank. So look, the easiest way will be selling Fafita. So Fafita's 745. Look, if I sold him for say like a Beau Fermor, who's 380k, then money is no issue. What I would maybe do in that situation is Fafita down to Fermor gives, I think it's 365k. So I'd have 365k, take away 50k of that, maybe is money to Grant. So then I've got 310k in the bank. Now, what I could do with that as well is, actually I can't do Schneider up to Hines. That could have been maybe a move that I do. Maybe I would probably then take out Lukey. So just looking at my team overall, I think Marnie's not necessarily my weak link, but I know I'm going to want to upgrade him eventually to Grant. I think my front row forward is fine. I think Haas, Fanul Blake, Josh King and Max King, I'm fine with all of them. They can all stay. Ewan Aiken is fine. I'm happy to keep him. Crichton, I'm fine to keep as well, as I've mentioned. I think even though he flopped a bit, I don't think he's necessarily my weakest link, so I'll be happy with him. Tuolagi, disappointing this week, but he's cheap. Hopefully should still make some value, so I'll keep him. Howarth is enough, so I'm not worried about him. Lukey is a big sell, a big weak link in my team as well. If he's coming off the bench at 350k, I can't have that happen. So he's definitely looking at like an immediate sell. I think Lukey will definitely be someone I try to sell this week. Fafita could be my main cash cow, I think, to fund other upgrades. So I could be making 2 moves in the 2RF. So for my own team and for you guys out there, I think 2RF, as I keep saying, going to be a big discussion point this week. The halves are okay. Walker and Dylan Brown, I'm perfectly fine with. Ilias, someone in the chats just asked, should I get rid of Ilias? I don't see the reason to move Ilias on just because at 205k, look, he's versing tough teams. I would just keep him there in your non-player reserves and hope that, you know, when they start playing the easier teams, he starts building up some scores and he can go up in price a little bit more. So Ilias I'm not seeing as an immediate sell. Like these cheap guys I'm not as concerned about. Now in centre wing, look, Stagg and Cobbo is not great, but I think I'm going to keep them because the next couple of games are still good. I still saw some decent signs when they went down the right side. Targo, Penasini, Billy Smith, I'm all okay with. Amon is fine. Valea is an annoying one, but again, he's also very cheap, 205k. And then I've got Pappenhausen and Tedesco, which I'm fine with those two. So I can very easily see myself doing 3 moves this week. Initial thoughts. I think my initial thoughts are Lukey out for maybe someone like around his price, like a Fermor. Maybe Fafita down to say like a Josh Curran, just to still get a gun in there, but save a lot of money. And then maybe Marnie to Grant. That's what I'm thinking at the moment, my initial thoughts for my 3 moves with the trade boost. I'm not sure what that does for me money-wise. Fafita to Curran probably gives me about 250k, 200k Lukey to Fermor. So I'll still have about 200k-ish in the bank, maybe just under the 200k. So that's fine to keep as money in the bank to upgrade. Maybe I can use that eventually to say, get in someone like Hines, maybe make upgrades in center wing up to say like a Lomax potentially, maybe upgrading Stags at some point. I don't know. Paycheck, I would love if Stag would pass the ball to Cobbo. Mate, I didn't care which one of them scored. I just wanted one of them to do well, and neither did, which was super frustrating. I thought when Stag had that break down the right side, he was going to do a flick pass to Cobbo, but it didn't happen. But yeah, Jason, you mentioned about my plan. Those are my initial thoughts at the moment for my team, guys. So yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream about there. We've already gone an hour, 10 minutes. I think hopefully that was comprehensive. We went through all the games, kind of given some initial thoughts about what I'm thinking of doing for this week. Videos, of course, will come again this week. We'll discuss all the big hot topics. So as always, leave your questions in the comment section below of my videos and on my Twitter, so I know what you guys are thinking of the key issues. I'll probably put a post out as well on my community page, just asking for the biggest dilemmas that you guys are thinking of, so I can include that in the video as well. But yeah, I'm probably going to wrap up the stream there. I don't think there's too many more questions that I missed. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and obviously if you like the stream, do please give it a like as well on the way out. And obviously if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, if you are new around here, please do subscribe as well. I think we were on 985 when I went live, so could be on 1,000 very soon, which would be insane. I'd be really happy to get to 1,000 so soon. And thank you, as always, to all you guys for your support. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll post my final score, but 902 points is what I'm on at the moment, which is fine. It's not ideal. Look, it's 9:44. I'm going to sleep in about half an hour. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And we'll see you all later on in this week, and have a good night.